So good morning class, my name is Rovic B. I'm going to be your teacher in this subject. So before we start our class, I would like you all to please stand and I will call Mr. Empleo to lead the opening prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So before we start our class, and I will call the attendance, I would like you all to please check your seats if there is a piece of paper. So please pick it up and throw it in the trash can. Okay, very good. Now we will start on the attendance. I would like to ask Miss Secretary if there is someone missing in this class, or someone absent rather. Okay, none. That's good to know. Very good. So before we start our class again, I would like to call one person in this class to ask what is the last topic we discussed last meeting. I would like to call someone. It is Mr. Troncoso. What is the topic we discussed? Very good. It is the origin of philosophy, which we are going to discuss, and it is a part of this topic, which is the introduction to philosophy of human person. I will present a slide or PowerPoint presentation about this topic. So please take note every important detail in this slide. So introduction to philosophy of human person. For a subject description, this subject is an introduction to the activity and process of philosophical profession as a search of systematic vision of life. The topics to be discussed include the human experience of embodiment with the world, with others, and the environment, freedom, the subjectivity, sociality, and being among that. Next, here it is, the definition and context of philosophy. For you, class rather, what is philosophy? Anyone? Anybody from the class? Nothing? I will give an example. So philosophy is an example of love. Philosophy, philos, love, and sophia, wisdom. Philosopher, love of wisdom. And the philosophy is the knowledge of all things through their ultimate causes acquired through the use of reason, which means, or the philosopher, on the other hand, seeks the ultimate causes of teaching. Example, what is its nature? Why does it take place? What does it produce? And the answer to these questions cannot be provided by observation and experiment, but rather are found at the level of abstract ideas. Take note. I will give you 10 seconds. Okay, let's proceed. So there are three examples of philosophy, which is the material object of philosophy, formal object of philosophy, and nature scope of philosophy. The first example is philosophy. Material object of philosophy. Philosophy studies all things. That's all aspects of reality and be the object of philosophical study, which means a thing made or consisting of matter, a physical object, or an object having a real physical existence independent of mind consciousness. The next one is formal object of philosophy. Through their ultimate causes, seeking the deepest explanations regarding the existence and nature of being, which means, based on what I've learned, according to some philosophers, formal objects are geological quantities which individuate emotions, make them intelligible, and build their collections and editions. The next example, which is the last part, is nature's scope of philosophy. It acquired through the use of reason, seeking the ultimate explanations that can be arrived at by applying reasoning the facts supplied by experience, which means it inquires into the nature of matter, time, space, causality, evolution, life, and mind, and their relation to one another. It is the art of thinking of things logically, systematically, and persistently. It is the art of thinking rationally and systematically of the reality as a whole. That's it, that's the last part. So we will talk about now the branches of philosophy. There are 5 examples of these philosophy, which is the first one is epistemology, metaphysics, logic, ethics, or axiology, and aesthetics. So epistemology that studies the nature of knowledge and the rationality of belief, the means of production of knowledge. Which one of the class will give me an example of this? I would like to call Mr. Basihan about the topic we discussed last meeting. What is epistemology? On your example. Yes, very good, but not quite. So epistemology is example of controls the truth, belief, and justification. First of all, truth occurs when false propositions cannot be discerned. Consequently, in order to or something to be considered as knowledge, it must be in nature. Metaphysics is an example of concepts and being, existence, purpose, universals, property, relation, causality, space, time, event, and many others. They are fundamental because all other concepts and beliefs rest on them. All knowledge and value is based upon the definitions of concepts. Logic. The definition of logic is a science that studies the principles of correct reasoning. An example of logic is deducing that 2 truths imply a 3rd truth. An example of logic also is the process of coming to the conclusions of who stole a cookie based on who was in the room at the time. The last but not the least is ethics and axiology. It concerns the matter of value or morality. Ethics or axiology is an example or defined as a moral philosophy or code of morals practiced by a person or group of people. Now the last part, we will talk about aesthetics. Aesthetics explore the nature and appreciation of art, beauty, and taste, which means the pleasant, positive, or artful appearance of a person or a thing. An example of the word is aesthetic is to say that a particular art is beautiful. The definition of aesthetic is being interested in how something looks and feels. Or example of you have sighted, touch, taste, seen, and smell. That's it. So we will talk about now the history of philosophy, which is the last topic we discussed. History of philosophy, there is Pythagoras, the Ionian Greek philosopher. It has been discussed last meeting. I hope you have gathered some information about Pythagoras. I'll give you 1 minute to take note. Okay, done. Now this is lettuce. Tell me when you are done. Now next, rock lettuce. We believe that the word originated from the far end, which is not true. Next one is Socrates. Socrates is very famous. We have talked about him last meeting. I hope you caught up about it. Next is Plato. Plato, Socrates, Pythagoras, etc. Talk about them. Next one. Oh, Aristotle, the father, meaning the teacher of Greek. The next one is Saint Augustine of Hippo, which of the region of North Africa. We discussed about it last meeting. We discussed about this last meeting. Already done. We started for the modern Western philosophy. We are already done about him. We have studied more about him. The last one is Baruch Spinoza, one of the pioneers of the Dutch Golden Age. You're done writing? Alright, we'll proceed. The human as an embodied. So the next is the human as an embodied spirit. I have provided some examples about this, which is the man, the human being, and a person. Human is an example of general term commonly used to refer to the entire human race. A human refers to man as a species. Human being, used to distinguish man from other animals. And the last part is person. Person refers to a human being granted recognition of certain rights, protection, responsibilities, and dignity above all. It is the totality of an individual possessing awareness, self-determination, and the capacity to interact with others and with himself or herself. Next one is personhood. Personhood refers to the state of being a person. Last part is human nature. It refers to the characteristics like thinking, feeling, and acting that distinguish humans from all other creatures. These traits are considered to form the essence of humanity. Without them, an individual will not be considered a one person. That's it. The next is, I have a question. What is the human person? Person is the example of a man with a self that has self-awareness. A person has self-determination. Person is able to reach out and interact with others, has dignity. That is a person. The next one is self-awareness. Self-awareness refers to the person having a clear perception of oneself, including his thoughts, emotion, and actions. Like example of thinking before you click in internet, or having a situation where you have to decide. Self-awareness, it's like someone or your conscious tells you what to do and not to do. Self-awareness and creativity also means that the person can create within himself what is not yet existing outside. Like that. That's what I have given. Try saying this. I am a person, I am alive, I exist, I am here, I am present, I am living at this very moment. When you say this kind of phrases, you feel like someone presenting himself rather. So let's examine. Little Carlo, this is just an example. Little Carlo is staying in the living room while his mom is in the kitchen. He accidentally bumps into the table, causing a wheels to fall. Upon hearing, his mom went to the living room and saw him standing near the broken vase. She asked, "Did you break the vase? What do you think our answer will be?" Class, what will be the answer of Carlo? Anyone? Mr. Basian again. Very good. He just claimed that he did it. He broke the vase because he's the only one who was near the vase and he was the only one who appears to tackle it. Next one is self-determination. Yes. Self-determination also is a free will, rather enables us to do actions whenever we want to and make various alternatives. The existence of free will enables a person to act willfully, control his actions, and recognize himself as the source of action. Next example is consequence. Consequence is the result or effect of an action or condition. Philosophers believe that a person acts freely and with due regard for the consequences of his actions. Next is morality. Morality is the goodness or badness of an act. It's like the do's and don'ts. Human action. Next one is the human action is such an important aspect of a person that many philosophers consider human action as a way to reveal a person's true nature. Human acts complete the person. It is through these actions that is complete the person. In yourself is revealed to others. It is through action that a person is able to explore and fulfill his potential. That is the example I. Next one. Example is try saying this. I am a person. My actions are my very own and are made freely. I know that I am the boss of my actions. Last one is I know that my actions rather have consequences. Next one is externality. This refers to the capability of a person to reach out and interact with others in the world. The realization that we are not alone and that there are indeed other people around us enables us to reach out and establish meaningful relationships with others. Last one is philosophers consider man as a social being and that a person never exists in isolation. Man has a natural tendency to seek out fellow human beings and the relationships established by this interaction is a vital component for survival. Next one is our interactions. Externality also is a part of our interactions. Our interactions with other define our existence as persons. We grow and develop not only through our thoughts and actions, but also through the influence of other people in our lives, like our peers, families, etc. And the individuals we meet and we interact with, even if it is a stranger. An example also is try saying this. I am a person with dignity. I recognize that others have dignity as well. The last part is I must uphold human dignity in my thoughts and actions. Means that you are responsible in every action you have taken. What is in our human nature? nature that enables us to become persons. Here's the example. Aside from the physical characteristics, another aspect of the human that defines us persons is the spirit. This intangible element enables us to exercise thought, rather possess awareness, interiority, and the capacity to reach out to the outside world and other persons. That's it. And the next one is how are the body and spirit related? Miss Basian, Mr. Basian, please read the example. Yes, that is correct. Thank you, Mr. Basian. The body and the spirit is related through love because it is a result of various biological. The next example of how body and the spirit is related is dignity. Human dignity is rooted in the nature of a human being, meaning a person has dignity simply because the fact that he is human. Second part is dignity is not defined by outside factors like intelligence, beauty, appearance, rather skills, etc. A person retains dignity in spite of his actions and behavior. The last part is dignity also drives us to seek what is good. Doing good deeds upholds and promotes dignity of a human person. This recognition of dignity is also the basis for the recognition of human rights. The next part is embodiment. Embodiment is the example of human body that stands as the mediator between the material world and the spiritual world. And being an embodied spirit, the person is able to encounter the world of objects and other personal subjects in a manner that transcends the physical. These features allows him to form intimate relationship with those outside him. The last part is human. Next is the embodiment. Last example. With human embodiment, physical acts are no longer purely physical acts because the body conveys something from a person's inner world. You cannot just act if you haven't made up your mind. If your mind doesn't think of a movement he wants to execute or act. That's how human embodiment works. Next example, a pat on the shoulder from your idol, a smile from your crush, a kiss from your partner will take intense emotional reaction in you. These examples show that it is true embodiment that a person is able to have a very unique relationship with the world. And it is the unique relationship that defines us as humans. If you are able to feel an emotional reaction from within, from your peers or loved ones, it is also an example of how human embodiment works. Yes, the next one is how does my human nature enable me to explore my limits? Human nature still has limits despite being an embodied spirit. It can be said that the person is very biologically deficient being. We do not have the natural ability to fly, cannot breathe underwater, we cannot use a breathing apparatus, we cannot survive in certain environments like other animals. Humans are capable in living in a natural habitat. We cannot do such things like an animal can do. Like a bird that is able to fly. A human cannot do it, obviously. That's how human nature also works. The next example is despite its limitations, we have these We have used up intellect, device, means to achieve several things. Excuse me. The last one is the ability to surpass limits called transcendence. And it is also one important trait that distinguishes the human person from other beings in existence. That's how transcendence works in this last example. Next one is, transcendence. First, transcendence is an example of our mind that is an important tool that allows us to go beyond many of our physical limits. Although we have these physical limitations, we can transcend them because of our spiritual dimensions. Like, for example, in a field, you are able to decide if you can continue or not because of exhaustion from the last activity you have performed. The next one is, as human persons, we have natural tendencies or inclinations. Some of these are felt bodily functions like hunger, fatigue, etc. Transcendence means overcoming oneself or being in control, even if the body reminds us of certain tendencies. Although these tendencies are felt, the person can govern them and ensure that they are exercised within the bounds of reason. The meaning of transcendence the example of this, if you are feeling like that example, exhaustion, if you feel like you cannot proceed in this kind of activity, that's how natural tendencies or inclinations work. Next one. Each individual carries within himself the possibility of transcending his limits by exerting enough effort and perseverance. Philosophy gives us useful tools to explore our limits and possibilities. The essence of transcendence is to acknowledge our limitations, identify possibilities for development, and change ourselves for the better. Last but not least, opening yourself to new experiences and ideas is another aspect of transcendence. Sharing your life's work, your problems, your background to your peers or the friends you have known. Our capacity for transcendence gives us the opportunity to work toward becoming better versions of ourselves. This example tells us if you are working hard for your achievement, your objectives, this work can be a way towards becoming a better version of yourself. The next one is that was the last part. Now, in this next slide, I will give you an activity which is in a 10 minutes, which you have to finish in 10 minutes. This activity is called Me, Myself, and I. You have, that it says in the description, you have to fill up to the chart and column about your present weaknesses and your dream and wish you want to do. I would like you all guys to provide a one whole sheet of paper. Get it first. We're done? Alright. Now we will start the activity. We are going to copy the table first and Are you done already? You have 3 minutes left. One minute class. $30. Are you done? Alright. Now pass all the papers in front. Now that is the end of my lesson. Now for our evaluation, before we start, did you bring what I have told you to bring last meeting? Everyone? Yes, the 1-8 illustration board. In your 1-8 illustration board, you are going to write the greatest limitation or weaknesses and the means or ways for you to overcome. Answer must be in the form of paragraph using persuasive format. Students are given a 2-minute oral presentation of their output. Now now your time starts now. 1 minute. 30 seconds class. Okay, very good. Now I will call students who will present their output. I will give you 1 minute to present about what you have written. Go ahead, Mr. Actor. Yes. Very good. Thank you for that. Next, Ms. Trump also. Yes. Good job. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Basihan. Come proceed to the front. Yes. Thank you. Good job. Next one. Very good, thank you. Next one. Okay, thank you very much. And that is the last part. This is the last activity I have prepared for this lesson rather. Now before we end our class, our class, I'd like to give you your assignment. Please take note of that. Your assignment is to answer what is the meaning of introduction to the philosophy of the human person. After you have answered the question, reflect your answer and present it in front of the class tomorrow or next meeting. Put it in your assignment notebook. Okay, class. So that's it. I hope you have learned something from me today. See you next meeting, class. Do not forget your assignment. I will accept any late papers. Thank you for listening and thank you for having me for today. Thank you for having me for today. And be nice always and always choose to be happy. Thank you very much.